Devils make surprising moves. They had to get creative. That they have. Game 3 tonight from the Rock, 2-0 Carolina. Multiple updates on that. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Welcome in to Devil's Digest. Feel free to click the subscribe button. Game 3 from New Jersey tonight, 2-0 lead in this series for the Carolina Hurricanes. Some roster news coming into the game, good and bad. Let's start off with the bad. Just get the video a little bit happier as we keep going. Sheldon Keefe, Brenden, Dillon, and Luke Hughes will both be out for Game 3 tonight. Look, I talked about it yesterday. This is a big blow. You don't want to lose your best power play defenseman, arguably your best offensive defenseman, your most physical player. These are not two things that are ideal. But when you look at what the Devils have dealt with since basically ended January, early February on, it's unfortunately nothing new. They've had a lot of injuries. They've needed guys to step in and step up. They've had to play a different style. They've had to be a little bit better defensively. It's a lot more of the same with Brenden, Dillon, and Luke Hughes going out. Obviously, going to be a huge loss in Game 3. We don't know what the position is till after Game 3. Could they return in this series? It would definitely be a help. Do we know if they're coming back? Do we know exactly what either one is? No. Now, I don't want to speculate, but when you saw Luke Hughes leave the game, he was reaching for that shoulder that he had hurt earlier on that, kind of kept him out in the beginning of the season. So the question is it to the point where it's like, all right, you have to get surgery. Returning this season just really is no longer an option. I don't want to speculate, but he did reach for that other shoulder. Brenden Dillon, we really have no news on, beside the fact that, he wanted to get back into Game 1. Doctors kind of held him back, didn't want him going. So no real news, honestly, on either of them, outside of the fact that they will not be playing tonight for New Jersey. Look, I said I'd start with the bad news. Let's get some good news in here. Head coach Sheldon Keefe optimistic that Jonas Siegenthaler will be able to play tonight for the Devils Game 3. This is huge news. Look, you look at what this defense was when Jonas Siegenthaler was in the lineup. They had good numbers. The numbers were even better when he was there. You didn't have to force your young defenseman in the lineup. Less mistakes were made. Markstrom, the nights were easier on him. Jake Allen, nights were easier on him. Like I said, the Devils this season have had a top 5 goaltending tandem. A big part to that is the fact how easy the defensemen have made it on them. They've been able to keep the high danger scoring chances low. They've been able to limit the shots. They target the best players on their team and they shut them down. And Jonas Siegenthaler, probably their best defenseman at that. Obviously, Brett Pesce came over here and done a great job. The two of them have been really, really good at shutting down opposing teams. And they usually don't play together. So it's big for the Devils. Jonas Siegenthaler, optimistic that he's going to play tonight for New Jersey. I mean, like I said, that is huge. Go ahead, look at the lines right now on defense. This is what would be expected. This was at practice today. Siegenthaler with Nemec. Look, I like it. I know Nemec has had kind of a year where it's been a little bit down. Probably not the year he wanted. He's been on the AHL, in the NHL. Comments at the beginning of the year where, he's never seen a second overall pick, still being the AHL year 3. Look, this is his coming out party. If you're Simone Nemec and want to prove that you should be on this team, come in here and make a difference in the playoffs, the most important time of the year. Because we see it all the time. Players are so much judged on how they perform in the playoffs. You see it every single year. Player goes in the playoffs, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, they play 18 games, player scores, 8 goals, 7 assists, and all of a sudden they're getting a way bigger contract to add maybe $2 million per year or add another 2 years on the contract. You see it every single season. It happens all the time. Now, when I'm not saying, Nemec's going to come in here and play good in the playoffs, and then, he's not going to be a good player going forward. No, but you can prove something. Give yourself a longer leash if you're Simon Nemec to prove what you can actually do. Come in here, play well in the playoffs. Good chance you're going to get a starting role next season. So, that's what I would say about Simon Nemec. Getting to play with defensemen like Siegenthaler, you're allowed to make some more mistakes because he is that good. Brett Pesce, Dougie Hamilton together. Dougie's looked great since coming back. Be nice if he could hit the net with some of those shots. We know how lethal those are. He's been good. And then Dumoulin, Kovacevic. Dumoulin logged a lot of minutes last game. So defensively, this is what the expected lines are supposed to be. Kuchelowski fit in for Siegenthaler if Siegenthaler isn't ready to go, potentially. But right now, Sheldon Keefe optimistic Siegenthaler will be back. Offensively, no real changes from game 2. Now, I have different thoughts on the offense. Look, they've scored 2 goals in 2 games. The power play's gone 0 for 5. Game 1 didn't really create anything till the third period. Now, I know Nico Hischier scored a shot Anderson should have had. When you look at the type of offense that they've had, they need players to step up. Now, I know some players are asking to do a little bit more than what their role is, a little bit more than what they're, I don't want to say capable of, but things that they haven't shown in the past. That's why I look to one player who has shown in the past. Dawson Mercer. I've said before, he needs to be an X factor in this series. They need him to be an X factor. Now, I know last game he had that really nice assist. It would be great if he can create even more. That's a player that I look to. Andre Palat, he's had a few good playoff runs. Now, I know he's a little bit older. He's been injured a little bit more recently the past 2 years. 3 years, actually. You probably want to see something from him. You got him. You paid him for times like this. This was a time that you paid Andre Palat for. I know everyone's kind of, always harping on his contract, not happy with his contract. It's for situations like this. Sometimes the situation, you just have to give the player the money. You go back to that offseason. They lose out on Johnny Gaudreau. They don't really have another forward. Andre Palat's the only guy left. Now you're in a bidding war for Andre Palat with whoever else might be there. You had to give him a contract he couldn't refuse. They did that. And, he was great that first playoff, run. But, Andre Palat, be great if we could see something from him. But when I look at this forward group, and I look at what happened in Carolina, and they had Jesper, Bratt, and Nico Hischier together, and they had to split them. It just didn't work. Slavin and that defense, they targeted him every single time they came on the ice, gave him nothing. Now, when I come back home, my thing is what I would do, I'd put them back together. Because I look at it and I go, okay, well, Carolina, really good defensive teams, plays matchups very well. And I look, where do you play matchups very well? At home. Look at Carolina at home, 31 wins. You look at Carolina on the road, 16-21-4. So when they can't play their matchups and you don't give them that opportunity, they are not near as good. So when you're home in this playoff series and they can't play those matchups and you can, get Bratt and Hischier together, I would do it. They're your two probably best offensive players. Go get them working together. I would do that. I would put Bratt and Hischier back together. Outside of that, there's no other lineup changes. I don't know why Lazar isn't getting a shot in the fourth line. I don't know why they traded for Daniel Sprong and aren't giving him a shot. It's a little interesting to me. I think Sprong has some more upside, has put up some better numbers in the past than some of these other players in the lineup. But this is what Sheldon Keefe and the team like. I guess that's what we're gonna get tonight. Game 3 tonight from Prudential Center. Devils, Hurricanes, 2-0. You know what's on the line. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of the lineup. How excited? Well, I shouldn't even ask how excited you guys are for Siegenthaler. We're all excited. So let me know in the comments what you think. Give a final score prediction in the comments. Hopefully you guys hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys really soon. All right, see you guys.